Over the last, couple of years, you might have missed the Harry Potter co-stars, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and a few others, who felt it their duty to throw J.K. Rowling, literally the woman who made them who they are, who gave them the best opportunity of their entire lives, set them up for life, threw her under the bus because she believed, J.K. Rowling did, that women with penises, aka biological men, did not belong in women's spaces, specifically sports, or things like women's restrooms, where it might be weird to turn around and find a woman with a 5 o'clock shadow and a ding-dong. These are things that are not normal, but the world was trying to convince us that it was. And so J.K. Rowling said, nah, fam, I don't think that this is the way it's going to go. And you had Emma Watson out there publicly rebuking her and publicly throwing her under the bus and getting themselves involved in her drama, responding to her messages. For whatever reason, maybe because it was politically expedient, I don't know, but they thought, you know what, this is a good idea. Let's go after J.K. Rowling. So Emma Watson, okay, she made a point, like I was saying, to throw J.K. Rowling under the bus. I'll give you a classic example. This was in response to J.K. Rowling defending women in women's sports. And so Emma comes out and replies to her essay about this and says, trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are. I want my trans followers to know that I and so many other people around the world see you, respect you, and love you for who you are. I donate to Mermaid's Gender, whatever the hell that is, and Mama Cash. And if you can, perhaps you'll feel inclined to do the same. Happy Pride. And so, of course, people were jumping into the comments because this was a direct backlash at J.K. Rowling. And they were all doing this. None of these ungrateful a-holes came to her defense when she was being attacked, maligned, threatened. Nope. The woman that had been kind to them when they were children, who gave them unimaginable wealth, screw her because the latest thing was not her. Until now, when the regular people, the folks around the world have had enough and said this lunacy needs to end. And so now when there's no more accolades to be gained, now Emma Watson is out there trying to send overtures over to J.K. Rowling. And of course, J.K. Rowling was saying, screw you, no thank you. This is from the Daily Mail. J.K. Rowling condemns, I would argue mocks, ignorant Emma Watson and accuses her of, quote, pouring petrol on flames of abuse that she suffered for defending women's rights. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? J.K. Rowling was right. And all the mentally ill people and those who supported them were wrong. And the world is starting to recognize this. The Daily Mail writes that J.K. Rowling has issued an unprecedented condemnation of Emma Watson by accusing her of being ignorant of how ignorant she is. J.K. Rowling said the actress's public criticism of her gender-critical stance had poured more petrol on the flames of the abuse that she had suffered. Absolutely. It encouraged people to go after her. It gave express latitude for the lunatics to go, well, see, the Harry Potter stars are with us. And there were campaigns to destroy everything. J.K. Rowling. There were burning of books. They tried to get Harry Potter video games banned, which didn't work. It actually backfired spectacularly. And these three, and we're, of course, targeting Emma number one, but these three co-stars all joined in this condemnation and throwing her under the bus. I don't blame J.K. Rowling for saying, to hell with this. And Rowling also dismissed Emma Watson's recent claim that she, quote, still treasures J.K. Rowling by accusing the now 35-year-old woman of cozying up to a movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination. That's right. They were trying to kill Emma Watson, suggesting that maybe she should disappear and all the other nonsense. And where was Emma Watson back then? Nowhere to be found. And Miss Rowling had previously vowed that she would never forgive Watson or her Harry Potter co-stars Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint for having cozied up to a movement intent on eroding women's hard-won rights. And why should she? These people had joined a movement that was hell-bent on destroying, erasing women. Remember the term mother? Gone in the name of transgenderism. Birthing person. What is a woman? Don't know. Who cares about biological sex? Emma Watson certainly doesn't. Until it's no longer politically expedient to be for transgenderism. But if nothing else, what we've learned about these three a-holes is that they have zero loyalty and true affection for J.K. Rowling. No matter what they say now, when that movement is falling apart, what they say doesn't matter. Now, J.K. Rowling, up until now, the Daily Mail writes, has never previously made such a personal criticism of the woman that she made famous. In a statement this morning, Rowling said that the trio had every right to embrace gender identity ideology, but attacked them for using their links to Harry Potter to serve as de facto spokespeople for the world I created. Rowling then focused her fire on Miss Watson by suggesting her views on trans rights were due to her lack of experience of real life. The actress blamed her driving ban on being a movie star from a young age, saying it had left her unable to do some pretty basic life things. And Rowling raged that I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing that book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of a woman's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. Ms. Rowling went on to claim that Ms. Watson's recent claim that she still treasures her was a cynical attempt to shift her stance after realizing full-throated condemnation of me was not as fashionable as it once was. Ding, ding, diddy, ding. That's right. This is nothing more than Emma Watson trying to get into the good graces of the general public. That's all that this is. It's disgusting. Now, Miss Rowling, who's now 60 years of age, said she had felt compelled to go on the record following Watson's comments last week. And speaking to On Purpose with Jay Shetty, the actress said that her support for trans rights did not mean that she had turned against the woman who shaped her life. Is Watson really trying to suggest that? She said, I really don't believe that by having had that experience and holding the love and support and views that I have mean that I can't and don't treasure Joe and the other person that I had personal experiences with. Rowling insisted that she did not expect Watson, Radcliffe, or Grint to agree with her on everything, and they have every right, she said, to embrace gender identity ideology. But she added that Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think that our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years, she said, after they finished acting in Potter, they continued to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. I guess this article likes to repeat itself. Now, Rowling said that she had found it hard to shake a feeling of protectiveness for people she had first met as child actors. Exactly. You know, it's hard when you knew someone when they were kids to find out who they are as adults as trash. That sucks, but that's just how it is. Sometimes people grow up to be a-holes and ungrateful. And now Rowling spoke about Watson's declaration in a speech at the 2022 BAFTAs that she was here for all the witches, which was widely interpreted as a dig against her gender, Rowling's critical views, and had prompted a change of heart. For the past few years, I've repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma, specifically most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech, and in truth, that was a turning point for me. But it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, quote, I am so sorry for what you're going through. This was back when the death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. By far, her most personal criticism yet, Rowling suggested that the actress had been blinded by wealth and privilege. No doubt. A lot of these people, a lot of these actors and actresses, they live in a bubble. They live in a world that is completely unique to you and I, the average peon out in the world. This is why they get attached to lunatic ideologies and causes, because not only do they live in a weird bubble that is insulated from reality, but being actors and actresses, they're known and appreciated for playing people who they are not. And for a lot of them, that gets in their heads. And so they want to matter. They want to be known for who they are as a person. And this is why you see so many of them attached to strange causes. It's all about mattering, which is ironic because these are the people that everyone remembers the most. Anyway, moving on. Now, Rowling went on to say that she'll never need a homeless shelter, unless she spends all of her money, I guess. She's never going to be placed on a mixed-sex public hospital ward, and I'd be astounded, Rowling said, if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is a single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? The answer, of course, is no. And Rowling went on to say that is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into the woman's prison. I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life's experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated in. It's funny to see Emma try to get back into the good graces. And then she went on to say that the greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect that she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination and then assert their right to the former friend's love as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightly free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right and I have finally decided to exercise it. Now, over the weekend, Rowling shared a parody video where a woman posing as Miss Watson shared a satirical take on her words towards Rowling. And in the clip, the fake Miss Watson said, I will always hold space for her and so much love in my heart for her, and I would hope that she felt the same way about me. But I also stand shoulder to shoulder with those who would wish her harm, hate her, and would wish the absolute worst for her in life. But those seemingly incompatible, those two things can exist at the same time, which is why I love these incredibly diverse world that we live in. Yeah, so the bottom line is they may try to come back from this now, but I don't think people are going to forget. And when it comes to J.K. Rowling, there's no reason that she should let Emma off the hook here. Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, these guys played a significant role in putting her at risk, in making it okay to go after J.K. Rowling. Now, would she have had death threats regardless? Yeah, of course she would. But it would have helped. So, Emma, she's tried her little olive branch, and J.K. Rowling was having none of it and smacked her down. Good for Rowling. Don't let Emma off the hook. That's what I say.